Thanks for clicking on this video. If you want to follow along, the links to the companion worksheet are in the description below. Today we're dealing with roots of complex numbers. Now this is going to be related to the previous video we did where we talked about powers of complex numbers. So I'm going to put a link to that up in the right hand corner right now if you haven't seen that video. Now the thing to remember is that radicals are just the same as powers. So this right here, I want to find the fourth root of 1 minus I. Well, that's the same as raising I to the 1/4 power. So, like we did in the last video, we need to put this into trigonometric form. So when I write this, I've got the real axis and the imaginary. So I'm going to go 1 to the right and 1 down. And so here is 1 minus I. So because this is 1 and 1, the magnitude is square root of 2. This is 45 degrees. This makes a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. And so this angle is 315 degrees. So 1 minus I is the same as square root of 2, CIS 315 degrees. And so, like we did in the previous video, we're going to take square root of 2 and raise it to the 1/4 power. Well, square root of 2 is really 2 to the 1/2 power. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 to the 1/2 power and then raise it to the 1/4 power. And then we're going to take 315 and multiply that by 1/4. Or most people like to think of it as dividing it by 4. So here we get, when we have stacked powers like this, we multiply them. So this is 2 to the 1/8 power, CIS 78.75. And this is the 8th root of 2, CIS 78.75. Now at this point we're not done. And that's because when you find the fourth root of anything, there are always 4 answers. Just like when you find the square root of a number, it could be plus or minus. There's always 2 answers. And so that's something we have to be aware of, is that this is only one of the 4 answers. Now how are we supposed to get the others? Well, go back to here. 2 CIS 315. What if I added 360 to 315? I would get square root of 2 CIS 675. Now these two angles, 315 and 675, are coterminal, which means if I graph this and graph this, we would get the same thing, 1 minus I. However, if I raise square root of 2 to the 1/4, I'd get the 8th root of 2. But if I took 675 and divided by 4, I wouldn't get the same angle as 78.75. Instead, I would get 168.75. And those two are different angles. Now that's 2 of our answers. We need 2 more. So what if I had 360 again? If I take 675 and add 360, I get 1035. Now what if I divide that by 4? I get a different angle. I get 258.75. Now what if I do it again? If I take 1035 and add 360, I get 1395, and I divide that by 4, I get 348.75. All right, so these are the 4 fourth roots of 1 minus I. Now there's a little theorem called Demas Theorem which sort of summarizes this information. And basically what it says is, if you notice here, all of these differ by 360. And because they differ by 360, they're all essentially equal to the same thing. But when we take the fourth root, now they differ by 90 degrees. Now, this is not a coincidence, because what were we taking? We were taking the fourth root. So we take all of these that differ by 360, and now they differ by 90, because 360 divided by 4 is 90 degrees. So with fourth roots, all the answers are going to differ by 90 degrees when we write them in trigonometric form. And we're going to use that for the rest of these to help us gather the other roots faster. So looking down here, we've got the sixth root of 1 plus I. So sixth roots differ by 360 over 6, because there's 6 of them, and they have to be evenly spread out. So that means they're going to differ by 60 degrees. So if I want to draw 1 plus I, got the real, and we've got the imaginary. So our magnitude is square root of 2, and our angle is 45. So 1 plus I equals square root of 2 CIS 45. So I'm taking the sixth root, so that means I'm going to take this, which is 2 to the 1/2, and raise it to the 1/6 power. And then I'm going to take 45 and divide by 6. So I have 2 to the 12th CIS 7.5, which is the 12th root of 2. So there's our first of the sixth roots. So what's the next one? Well, I'm just going to take this and add 60 degrees to it. So 12th root of 2 CIS 67.5, and do it again. 12th root of 2 CIS 127.5. 12th root of 2 CIS 187.5. 12th root of 2 CIS 247.5. 12th root of 2 CIS 307.5. And so here are all sixth roots of 1 plus I. And what's really cool is that if you were to graph all of these, they would all be a circle, equally spaced, all the same distance away from the origin. Right. So next one, here we want the cube root. So cube roots differ by 360 degrees over 3, which is 120 degrees. So that's how they're going to be spread out. So we've got the real, we've got the imaginary. So the angle is still 45 like the last one, and this is square root of, let's see, 2 is 4, 2 is 4, so that's 8. So I'm going to leave it as square root of 8 for now. So 2 plus 2i equals square root of 8, CIS 45. I could simplify it, but I'm not going to, because we're going to take the cube root of that anyway. So we have 8 to the 1/2, and we raise that to the 1/3, and then we take 45 and divide by 3. So this is, when we multiply those powers, 8 to the 1/6 power, CIS 15 degrees. So we have 6th root of 8, CIS 15. So that's one of our cube roots. Now we have to add 120 degrees to get the next one. 135 degrees. 6th root of 8, CIS. And we add 120 again, and we get 255 degrees. And so there are our 3 cube roots. Number 4, we're taking the 4th root of negative 2i. So 4th roots differ by 360 over 4, which is 90 degrees. So if I draw negative 2i, that's going to be down here. And so that is 2 spaces away at an angle of 270 degrees. So negative 2i equals 2 CIS 270. So now we take the 4th root of this, so 2 to the 1/4, CIS 270 over 4. So I get the 4th root of 2, CIS 67.5. And now we will add 90. And when we do, we get the 4th root of 2, CIS 157.5. And we'll add 90 again, 247.5. And then for the last one, we will add 90 again, 337.5. So here are our 4 4th roots. Now for the last one, we have a 5th root. So 5th roots differ by 360 over 5, which is 72 degrees. So when we graph this on the real, it's going to be way over here, negative 32. I'm not going to label each individual point. That's way too far. But it's 180 degrees away at a distance of 32. So negative 32 equals 32 CIS 180. So if I want the 5th root, I take 32 to the 1/5, CIS 180 over 5. And so when we do that, the 5th root of 32 is 2, CIS, and we get 36. So now we have to keep adding 72. So 2, CIS, and now we add 72 and we get 108. And we get 180 when we add it again. And we add 180 again. Oops. We get 252. And we add 72 again. We get 324. So those are our 5 5th roots of negative 32. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit that like button. And if you want to see more, click the subscribe button. To support the channel, click the links down below. Thanks for watching. And remember, the best way to understand something is to do it.